Polipede works here with chapter 1069. I want to make a joke about that, but there's simply no time at all. The cover story, okay? We're continuing with the Germa cover story. We see Dufeld. If you don't know Dufeld, he was the guy from the Whole Cake Island arc. He was one of the underworld bosses that came for the Tea Party, right? So we see a big sort of almost cruise liner looking ship that has Mads on it. So the idea is, since he's the Lone Shark King, I can only assume that he's funding a new Mads project for maybe up-and-coming scientists, or maybe he'll try to get some of the former members of Mads on board, which makes a little sense now as, well, Queen is relieved from his duties of being a beast pirate. Caesar and Judge don't really have that much to do, and it seems like Vegapunk is about to fly the coop. So, we have to see if there are any more members of Mads. One very prominent guy that doesn't get brought up a lot at all, but seems to be a very prominent scientist in the world, is Dr. Indigo. But we'll have to see if he's a part of it. So, moving on with the chapter, here we go. Now, the very interesting part that we encounter here is that we have a little skirmish between Luffy and our CP0 boys. Basically in exchange saying, oh yeah, well, this is a government island. It's weird that we pirates are here. You government guys are in the right to be here. Luffy discovers that Atlas was bodied by Lucy. Does not care for that at all. We cut back to Marineford, and Sakazuki is getting kind of irritated that a full-scale war could break out because the CP0 have encountered what is essentially now a Yonko crew with the Straw Hats. And he's annoyed that these kids are starting a war without his consent, which is very funny, but at the same time, get bent, old man. This is the new kids era. I don't know who the Marine he's talking to is. He kind of looks like a snake neck guy because his neck is abnormally long and I've never seen him before. He also has this neck tattoo from the looks of it. He's a bit of a doodle. But yeah, I'm not sure who he is. And apparently Kizaru is on his way to Egghead. So all the pieces are coming together, boys. All the pieces are coming together. The character web is imminent. I love it. I love when the character web comes together. Oh man, we got Dufeld, who got shot by Stussy back on Whole Cake Island. Stussy is prominent in this arc. Therefore, we see Dufeld in the cover story. Now, as we know, Kizaru has been the linchpin in most of the Pacifista development, so it only makes sense for him to arrive. And we could possibly see a confrontation between Luffy and Kizaru. Seeing Kizaru be serious for once is a dream. So I'm just on the edge of my seat to see what that develops into. But yes, we're back at Egghead. A fight's breaking out. Shaka says something that's brought up way back in the Road to Laugh Tale volumes, right? What was mentioned when Nika was brought up, when the awakening of the Gum Gum fruit, or the Hito no Mi model Nika, or the human fruit model Nika, when that was brought up, it was a little blurb that said Zoan fruit users, when they awaken, are usually overtaken by the beast that resides within the fruit. A loophole, I thought, was that, say, with Sengoku and with Luffy, because they were humans that have eaten human fruits, the beast wouldn't overtake them because, in a sense, the same being has engulfed a similar being, so there's no contention. However, that's not the case with Lucy, because we get Lucy using the awakened version of the cat fruit model leopard. This is a very interesting design, because now he too has the sort of flame hair that Gear 5 has, and the flame robe, which now brings up a very interesting question. Also, very important to note, his little beard bauble has a flame cloud on it. Very sick, very cool. I like that a lot. But here's what's very interesting about this, and this is why I'm kind of going into meltdown mode about it. Okay, so is the cloak of like flame, or the cloak of like these flame swirls, is that now what we're going to consider the mark for awakening? because this has a lot of implications. For example, we know that this is a signature of Luffy's because he has the same thing. Yamato also has a very similar design, but with Yamato, it's very different because with hers, she has it as well in her beast form, but we don't know how that really transpires because we have to wait and see if Luffy too has the sort of cloak if he ever goes into his beast form. So we'll have to see. If I recall correctly, which I think I do. I think I'm onto something. I don't think Kaido ever has this. I don't think so. I don't think he ever has this sort of flame cloak around himself. He has the flame clouds that allow him to like stay suspended in the air. That's true. But an actual awakening, no. And of course, he has his furry cloak that he wears, but it's not an actual like aura cloak that Luffy has here, and then what Luffy has. Though now with Yamato, she has something similar. So in a sense, you could say that there's a very odd and disturbing possibility that Yamato was a more adept Zoan fruit user than her father, which is that's something. That's something. If this is the case, I'm baffled. I'm glad that I was wrong from my last video, and then Luffy was just using Six King gun on Atlas as a means to take care of her because that was the mission to kill all the Vegapunks. So I am happy that I was wrong on that. He still had something in the bag. That's fantastic because if he didn't, ooh-wee, this would have been terrible. Yeah, I think there's some more nuance though to the reason why he wasn't overtaken by the leopard within the fruit, but I think that will be a topic for another video. However, now we get to the nitty-gritty, the true lore that we've waited for 20 years for in this chapter. What devil fruits are. Vegapunk goes on to explain that the concept of the Gum Gum fruit entirely is a lie. There is no existence of the Gum Gum fruit, which I'm so sad for my friend that I was talking to about this several months ago, because we had surmised that there could be a Gum Gum fruit out there and that Luffy would meet this person at one point. But no, the Gum Gum fruit technically does not exist. The whole matter of that name even being in the newer versions of the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia was to throw off the trail of the Hito Hito no Mi Madonika existing, okay? So it's said again that Luffy's fruit is a deity fruit. The Gum Gum fruit is fake. The Gum Gum fruit's fake. And as Luffy and Lucy match blows, it is said what devil fruits are. Okay, Vegapunk says a lot here, but to summarize, devil fruits are the embodiment, they are the entities brought into the world by people's desires. These desires are hated by the mother of all life, the ocean, because they are unnatural. They are things technically not births from the womb of the ocean. Therefore, the ocean denies them, and those who take part in harboring these entities within their bodies receive the curse and are hated by the ocean. They are completely beings envisioned by the wishes of people. This gives me chills because I was in a live stream recently. I'll put the live stream actually in the description below, but I forgot who said it. The guy who said it mentioned that this was a possibility. That and I actually had myself this thought years ago, like what if people are actually bringing these things into the world? Because when you start to really break down a lot of the fruits, like say scissors or even the arms fruit weapons, or the concept of Beige's fruit, a castle, these are human constructs, or even like the aspect of operation, like with Lost Fruit. Operating on something is a human invention, a human ideal. So the fact that Lost Fruit, for example, is the embodiment of a wish brought into the world by someone is astronomically deep. It's so deep. I can't even comprehend it, but it's so elegant and simple that devil fruits are just wishes. They are essentially what Dragon Ball is about. If you wish for a fruit, that gave you a power. And it kind of is like that. And because they are wishes, beings brought into the world by human desire, they are not of the mother of the world, and therefore they are hated. That is a good explanation. I always thought that we would get this, but to see it in front of me now, it's kind of overwhelming. I'm having a hard time because I don't know. I knew it would come, but to finally get closure on this, it's big. It's very big. It's huge. It's simply huge. Okay. More videos to come about that because it's a lot to talk about, bros. There's a lot to talk about. Okay. Moving on, the Seraphim are commanded to basically help the Straw Hats navigate and to aid Vegapunk's escape. We see Sentomaru. He's commanding them all, and Sentomaru commands S-Bear to attack the CP0 members. Stussy goes into explaining, which this is another point in the Stussy is weird bag, because she knows the setup of how the pacifistas normally operate. It goes in an order of 4. The 5 elders have control over the main pacifistas. Then under them, it's Vegapunk and the rest of the punks. So all 7 bodies of Vegapunk, known bodies that is, which Ali would exclude her from control of these Seraphim, because if she is a satellite, she wouldn't have control here because they operate on a different function than the normal pacifistas, the ones that are basically just clones of Kuma. We have Sentomaru at 3, and then at 4, it would be a holder of an authority chip. And these are the authority rankings. And Kaku says, oh, we can't destroy them either because the government put a lot of money into these things. Okay. So they can't destroy the Seraphim, nor can they control them. And I just had a thought. This is basically an amalgamation of Shabandi Archipelago Part 2, like in the pre-time skip, because Kizaru's on his way. We had Rayleigh show up basically before the arc started in that whole confrontation with Blackbeard. And now we have Kuma also on his way to the island, presumably. So things are getting deep. It's very interesting too how S-Bear attacks the CP0 members. It's almost like he makes a pacifista beam and then smacks it with his paw hand. I find that interesting because it's like the way it's drawn is like in a sweeping motion, and you can see the light sort of turn around him and then flash. Yeah, also you see it here. S-Bear is the user or a user of the paw fruit, just like Kuma. Then we get another Gear 5th technique called Gum Gum Mole Pistol, which could be a upgraded version of Gum Gum Torpedo, which I believe Luffy did way back in Alabasta, in which he I guess I want to say in the Crocodile Fight Part 1, because they were in the desert, or this could be a Katakuri reference, because if I recall, Katakuri's spear was called Mole something, like Mole Dragon, I want to say. So this could also be a Katakuri reference. He turns the ground into rubber and forces it up and punches Lucy in the gut. Gear 5 is cool. But now I'm wondering, what can Lucy actually do? You know, I hope like in chapter 1070 we get more into that, because I'm thinking about it now. For a person who's a normal Zoan, and as a animal Zoan at that, what abilities that do you get that are, say, different from a Demon Guard? Like the guys that were in Impel Down. What's different here? Because a leopard is a leopard. It doesn't have any powers. Do you just get like the healing factor and whatnot, but no additional abilities? Fascinating. We'll have to wait and see. Jinbei's kind of freaking out for seeing himself for the first time. This is Jinbei's first time seeing S-Shark, and Chomper comments on it as Jinbei and Chomper run away with knocked out Atlas and Bonnie. Luffy has a small conversation with Sentomaru, whom of which was also at Shabani Archipelago, so it's very fun to see them here now on friendly terms. But oh, by the way, Sentomaru was guilt tripped into helping the Straw Hats because Vegapunk communicated to him over comm saying, I gave you something to eat when you had nothing. And Sentomaru was like, oh man, that's right, you're my daddy. Uh-oh. Well, I gotta do what you say. And yeah. Then yeah, they have a friendly little reunion. Luffy and Sentomaru is kind of freaked out by Luffy's form, as are most of the people who see it, because the Straw Hats are just kind of freaked out about it. And this is the first time they are told that Luffy is a deity, which I could imagine is kind of shocking. But yeah, then Luffy just impales Sentomaru. Luffy says, well, if you're down, we can take control of the Seraphim again. You won't be a problem. Also, as we end up here, Seraphim Hancock, so S-Snake, is said to be the one to escort the Straw Hats to the vacuum rocket. So this is going to be kind of interesting. And she has a little ellipses pause when she's commanded to do this. If they do have personalities, it's going to be very interesting to see if she falls in love with Luffy like the original Hancock did. If they have personalities at all. They may not. So we'll see. But yeah, this was a fantastic chapter. From what's being said here, there's not going to be a 1070 next week because we're getting pretty close on Christmas. Expect a ton of videos from me. Just about, because you know I'm the Zoe and Fruit guy. I've been talking about this forever. It's one of my first videos on the channel. So yeah, stay tuned. And thank you for watching. Talk to you again real soon. If you like stuff like this, please feel free to check out my YouTube channel, Polipede Works. And if you like what you see, I would appreciate your subscription. Thank you so much. See you next time.